This is We Bleed Orange and Black, the podcast for Halloween and horror lovers. Join us as we interview creators, discuss our favorite horrors, and share original spooky stories. I'm Jeff C. Carter, and I'm repping the 80s.
I'm Ryan, and I'm repping the 90s. Flawless Australian accent.
Ladies and gentlemen, what a treat! 2 new shows that are really super neat. In this corner, making all your wishes come true, Fantasy Island. And the challenger getting funky down under, round the twist. It's Buffo Sacco action on Put Up Your Spooks.
This week's theme:
the 2023 San Diego Comic-Con Spectacular. So we have a new entry to the show, the ABC drama Fantasy Island.
The plan.
This show's first run was from 1977 to 1984. And for those unfamiliar with the concept, every week a group of guests would arrive to experience a bespoke fantasy, courtesy of the mysterious host, Mr. Rourke, played by Ricardo Montalban, and his diminutive sidekick, Tattoo, played by Hervé Villachez. So this is an episode I remember from way back, and it's pretty famous. It's called Eagle Man. We begin with the arrival of Morris Binstock, a goofy dad played by Bob Denver, a.k.a. Gilligan, and his 8-year-old son Barney.
on an island. Recipe for disaster.
Yeah, you'd think he'd learn his lesson. So, Tattoo asks if Binstock is there for the insurance convention. And he is, which is wild, because there's an insurance company having their retreat on Fantasy Island.
And not getting any fantasies.
Wow. We shall see. It's not the only reason Binstock is there, though. His son has become withdrawn in the wake of his mother's death, leading to an obsession with Eagle Man comic books.
How does an ordinary father compete with a comic book superhero for his son's respect and admiration?
He can't. No ordinary man is a match for a federal crime fighter.
Which is why Mr. Binstock's fantasy is to become Eagle Man.
Binstock hopes he can become Eagle Man to win back the respect of his son. And I don't know if it's respect or if it's like traumatic grief. His mother died a few months ago. Were they not allowed to use the word grief in like 80s ABC primetime TV? Or did they not know what the definition of respect was? It's so weird. Throughout the whole show, Gilligan is like, my son doesn't respect me. I've got to earn his respect. And it's like, your son is grieving. His mom died months ago.
Give him a good backhand.
Yeah, teach him some respect. So Binstock checks in with his insurance company, where it is clear that his rival, the devious Storch, wants him out of the way for the coveted VP position. Mr. Rourke takes Binstock to his bungalow, which features a secret superhero lair. Eagle Man's nest.
The eagle's nest, if you will.
There he presents an Eagle Man costume. And while it doesn't fly, it does have semi-bionic boots. Later, a bunch of fake thugs attack the pool area. This is all staged for Eagle Man to come to the rescue, but he almost doesn't get the chance, because Tattoo goes kung fu crazy on the thugs. Even the 8-year-old is getting in on the action. Seeing his prospects dwindling, the father rushes in as Eagle Man, accompanied by his awesome theme song.
Eagle Man! Eagle Man!
The kid chases after Eagle Man, who reveals his secret identity. Mild-mannered Morris Binstock, his ever-loving dad. Unfortunately, the dastardly Storch was spying on them, and has also learned their secret. Meanwhile, back at the office, Tattoo is practicing with a ventriloquist dummy, which is a wonderful nod to our previous episodes. It seems like a random goof, but just you wait. Mr. Rourke checks in with Binstock. He and his son have reconnected, but Mr. Rourke warns that their newfound love is built on lies.
He might be disturbed when you tell him the truth about your Eagle Man fantasy.
Later, Binstock gets a call from Tattoo, asking him to put on one more show as Eagle Man at the insurance convention. But it's not Tattoo, it's Storch, using his ventriloquist powers to pretend to be Tattoo, which is insane. Like, he even scrunches down to better imitate Tattoo on the phone. I don't know if he came to the island and his fantasy was to talk like Tattoo, because it is flawless. It's so weird. So Eagle Man busts into the insurance convention only to be unmasked and mocked by Storch. His boss is appalled. Binstock's son runs in to defend him, but his father comes clean. It was all a ruse. There is shock and tears, but in the end, father and son are reunited on a solid foundation of truth. And I have to admit that on rewatch, there is some legitimately good acting in this sequence. It's very melodramatic because the music is tugging at our heartstrings, but like the whole sequence, go back and watch it. It's really raw and emotional. It's really good. I was not expecting it. So as they prepare to leave, Mr. Rourke informs Binstock that he got that sweet VP job after all. We don't know if he got to keep his semi-bionic boots.
Presumably not. Don't they just drug everyone so that they only believe they're jumping semi-bionically?
Well, you could see the cables that were hauling Birdman in and out of the action sequences. So I don't know. The end. I was kind of hoping that in the slapstick fight sequence with the fake thugs, that Eagle Man would kick one of them and just blow his spine out of his back
With his super boots.
with his semi-bionic boots.
Wait till you see this Eagle Man Tattoo. He just captured a whole army of monsters single-handed.
Single-handed?
Talk about good acting. You've not seen nothing till you've seen Round the Twist. Right from the opening credits, cue opening credits music.
Have you ever felt like this? Have strange things happen? Are you going round a twist?
The intro promises horror hijinks, werewolves and lint mummies galore, but this episode didn't have any real supernatural... I've never seen nor heard of this show, Round the Twist. This delightful Aussie 90s romp. But no horror. Anyway, there's a family who lives in a lighthouse. At first I thought they were all a very stinky family because the boy dreams of being a superhero and transforms himself into Skunk Man, and no song can compete with his pong. And I had to look up Australian slang to learn that pong was something that was very stinky.
The power of the pong.
So they have a landlord or something that is apparently always trying to kick them out. And so that's why I thought they were all stinky, because why else would you want to kick them out? But I don't think that's the case.
It's a greedy realtor that wants to demolish the haunted lighthouse and have that beachfront property.
Gotcha. So what he does is he hires a horrendous rock, punk, hardcore, thrash band of hooligans.
I gotta say, I didn't mind the punk band,
They were purposefully terrible and discordant.
but it had a youthful energy to it. Sort of bogan Australian punk aesthetic that...
I don't think they were even saying real words. So the boy decides he's going to use the power of Skunk Man to eject the horrible band with his pong, which is actually a stink bomb of his own design, which he throws at them and stinks them out and chases them away from the lighthouse.
The pong is mightier than the song.
Thinking he saved the day, he goes about his business, and then the punk band are bullying a kid at school, so he stink pongs them again. Then, on his way home from school, a diaper truck overturns, and everyone is dying from the diaper stink, but he unstink pongs the diaper truck.
Yeah, he uses his technology to suck up stinks and then weaponize them later. You are forgetting a bit where he tries to stop a bullying incident and winds up on the wrong end of the bullying until a girl comes in and rescues him.
So then later on, he...
Just scrolling through the video and trying to make up what's going on.
Yes. So then his older brother and sister, they decide to join the band because the older brother wants to get girls and the sister wants to rock. I think
She wants to save the whales.
she wants to be the voice of a generation. So the band hasn't been defeated despite being stink ponged twice. And then so Skunk Man stinks them out again and they run away screaming and stinking. Then they're bullying a kid again and he stink bombs them again. And then the girl who saved him is like my hero. And he's also stinking out every bystander, but they just love him so much regardless. So then a mailman's getting attacked by a dog. He uses his stink power to chase the dog away. Then this is actually kind of funny. The band is called Beastmaster, which you probably got a real kick out of. And they tagged a wall. And so some dude is gonna clean it up. So instead Skunk Man uses the power of his stink to literally peel paint and evaporate the graffito tag. Then he steals an old granny's scones. Then he gets back to the lighthouse, and now the band has a dastardly plan to counteract his stinks with gas masks and power fans and fan suits. But he's anticipated them. He's 2 steps ahead. So he sticks a weird plunger stink rain bomb to the ceiling and rains stink upon them that lasts for days and days and days. But regardless of their stink, they still bully this kid, this friend of his, and steal all of his lunch money. Then they're out getting ice cream, and he sees some bank robbers with shotguns, and he decides to fight them with his stink pongs. And I was like, oh, blast this kid. Blast him. Blast right through his spine, like Fantasy Island style. But they don't. They actually get the better of him. He isn't able to get a stink pong off, but he does shit himself, as far as I can tell.
He violently shits himself,
and it's so
badly that it drives off the hardened meth-addled bank robbers.
Gun-toting bank robbers. So then he has to wash his Skunk Man suit, which frankly he should have just left alone. I mean, it would have, really enhanced his powers.
Bold of them to have the main character shit himself.
Not just shit himself, but really shit himself.
Yeah, really wretched diarrhea.
He washes his suit. Meanwhile, the older brother and the older sister have quit the band because they just know it's not worth it. The brother's doing homework, and he's like, girls are distracting. And then Joan of Arc opens a portal in his living room and comes out and is like, I've got a distraction for you. But then she just goes away through the portal. And
now,
end scene.
What do you think that was? Because I have a theory.
I have no fucking clue.
Meeting with the goddess. This whole episode follows the hero's journey. Even to the point where he's like Spider-Man no more, and he takes off the suit, and he throws it away, and he tosses the mantle of Skunk Man, and then he's got to reclaim his power.
It makes sense, except that Skunk Man doesn't meet the goddess. A random side character with no journey or no plot does.
First of all, it's his brother, not a random side character.
So anyway, the goddess goes away before the brother can get his rocks off. Then the band is still playing. They don't care that they stink. They're still bullying. Bully's got a bully. They've got their gas masks on, I guess because they can't stand their own stink. But Skunk Man in his civilian attire makes a deal with them that he'll unmask Skunk Man if they stop bullying the other twerp and give him his $5 he dues back. And so they say, okay, great. Meanwhile, Skunk Man is filming the whole thing. Then a decoy Skunk Man comes in, unmasks, and it's the girl who saved him before. And finally, the bullies are so humiliated at being defeated by a girl that they run away forever, probably poop their pants. The end?
Are you not going to talk about the Skunk Man song? Well, if we were rating these two episodes, the song in Round the Twist would definitely beat the Eagle Man theme. But we're not doing ratings today because this is our San Diego Comic-Con Spectacular for 2023.
I don't know about you, but I'm worn out.
Yeah, we had an eventful and very exciting 3 days. We got down there on Friday.
I had a few comic books that I wanted to get graded and signed, so I made a quick beeline straight to the convention center, which is not what we usually do. We usually try to seek out some activations.
Drew and I peeled off to go to the Paramount Plus line for The Lodge, their big multi-show activation, and we found out that it was at least a 5-hour wait. So we bailed on that and went to go hang out with Ryan.
Yeah, we're just can't hang with those 5-hour waits anymore.
This year was a little different because of the writer's strike and the Screen Actors Guild strike. They had canceled many of the panels and screenings and other events, but also they probably didn't mount most of the activations. So there was very little competition for the lines. So all the lines were exponentially longer than they normally would be.
I had some Ninja Turtles books that I wanted to get graded with CGC and signed, but they wouldn't let me go talk to Kevin Eastman and have him sign them in person, so I just had to turn them over to basically a stranger. So instead I went and just waited in Kevin Eastman's line just to say, hey, I dropped off these books, and then I got a little mini poster signed by him instead, and immediately destroyed it, as I always do with signed posters at Comic-Con. I've never carried a poster tube because I'm not interested in getting posters or signatures, as we've established, but I always end up getting a signed poster and then destroying it because I have no tube.
You need a backpack made of PVC pipes.
Yeah, which we did see. So that was like a big chunk of my Friday. And then
We went to the Marriott Lounge for windy drinks and bad food.
yeah, that's right. We stayed there for a very long time. And then we did, we went to the FX activation, and we watched some taiko drumming for this upcoming Shogun reboot that's coming out next year, which was kind of fun. And we got some free mochi with red bean paste inside, and I found it delightful. I think we then
Went to dinner.
yeah, went straight to dinner.
Yeah, Friday was a bit of a dud. I mean, of course, we had a good time hanging out together at the Marriott Lounge, but nothing was that exciting, and it seemed like we weren't going to be able to get into anything or do much, and Ryan had already accomplished his mission, so there wasn't a whole heck of a lot to look forward to going into Saturday. So we did get into line for the Voodoo Ranger boat. That was a pirate ship, a wooden sailing ship that they bring to the harbor, and we had a good time with that last year, and we thought, well, this will be fun. Ed's riding with us this year, so at least we'll get to try to steal a little past glory. But the line was a fair bit longer than it was the year before, and I was starting to get a little worried at A, the length of this line, and B, that we were chasing a fun experience we had the year before and may not stack up. But we finally get to the front of the line, and we're just about to get on the boat, and can't help it, I start to get excited. And then a guy walks by with a monkey in a little pet crate, and I instantly get super bummed out because they are blasting insanely loud music on this boat. And not pirate shanties, not folk music. It's like techno club, as you can imagine. You know, not a real fit for the pirate scene, but definitely if they want people to drink and get off the boat in 30 minutes. So I get on the boat, and I'm pretty bummed because I don't like animal cruelty, and I definitely don't like cruelty to monkeys because those are our cousins.
Yeah, agreed. Although luckily they started doing podcast interviews as soon as the monkey got on, so it had a little bit of a reprieve. And also Jeff had a very good time talking to the monkey wrangler about all things monkey.
Yeah, we went back to check out the whole monkey scene, and the guy was really cool. He gave us all the monkey facts, and the monkey was chilling, eating Cheetos. It was a very happy monkey.
Yeah, they also had 2 sweet-ass parrots that we got to take pictures with, and one pooped on Jeff.
I doubled my chances of getting pooped on because I put one parrot on each shoulder. And so I asked the parrot guy, like, hey, did the parrots not get annoyed by the super loud music they were playing earlier? And he's like, no, they don't have eardrums. That's why they scream all the time. They love it. I was like, all right.
I put the parrot on my shoulder, and I was like, haha, I've got an affinity with animals. This is wonderful. And then the parrot went, gah! Right in my ear. And I was like, oh.
And then Ryan didn't have an eardrum.
Then I pooped on myself, round the twist style.
There was someone doing voodoo readings on the boat. And so I went in there to get a tarot reading. And I'm not a believer in tarot, but I just wanted to see what she was doing. And hear her talk about tarot might be kind of interesting. And she keeps talking and talking and talking. And I thought this was going to be, like most of these free experiences, very, very brief. And the longer she talks, the more I realize I'm going to have to like slide some money into an envelope as a donation. And I'm not interested.
May I interject just to say that I went into the room, the small captain's quarters or what have you, and I was like, ho, am I going to screw up the mojo by being in this room? And she was like, yes, please leave. And then I was like, oh, shit, I'm sorry. I threw the spirits out of whack. And she was like, no, I just don't want to catch COVID.
So she keeps talking and going on, and I'm like, okay, if I start agreeing with what she's saying, she'll kind of like get to the point, and we can speed this along. That doesn't work. So I start disagreeing with what she's saying when she's saying things that are incorrect. And so she just keeps prevaricating and hemming and hawing and going on, taking different tacks with vague statements. And finally I spot that she's missing an earring. And we saw a similar filthy hoop earring on the dock as we were walking in. And I was like, oh, hey, you're missing an earring. We saw it. I can take you to where that is right now. And she's like, oh, thank you so much. Anyway, let's go back to your astrological alignment. And I was like, oh, no. And eventually I had to tell her that I was seasick and I couldn't stand there. I couldn't sit there anymore. And she's like, oh, well, okay. And so I returned her earring to her, and then I went and drank some more with the guys.
I think we did go inside at that point, right? After we were finally done?
Yes.
Slightly buzzed, perfectly buzzed, I spotted a hero of mine, Neville Page from Face Off, judging fame, or possibly non-fame. Probably non-fame. He's a production designer, really good, smart guy, and a really good artist. Works a lot on Star Trek. And so I was like, Neville! I shouted across the hall, flagged him down. I don't know how deeply you want to get into it, but we talked to him for like a good 40 minutes until he had to rush off and do a Star Trek panel.
On the show Face Off, he says form language a lot, and that's become a bit of a running joke for us. And he said form language, and Ryan and I high-fived. It was truly delightful. And just the idea that he was willing to stand there on the crowded convention center floor and talk to us for 40 minutes to an hour. Very impressive, very generous, really nice guy.
Yep, all around mensch. And then we went to go have dinner, but we found this delightful area that we had never seen before in all of our 16 years of going to Comic-Con.
It's a place called Seaport Village, and maybe it's brand new, because normally we end up wandering into the chaotic, crowded, overpriced gas lamp district, or we have to walk all the way past that further afield into San Diego to try to find some other crowded, chaotic place to eat. But this was a short walk along the bay, and it was beautiful. The sun was going down. The temperature was just perfect. A mariachi band was there playing. And we found this place that had tacos and beer, and we're just very, very happy, as opposed to the loud Mexican restaurant we went to the night before with the sour food.
Mm-hmm. And we found some very tasty tacos.
So after dinner, we walked over to the Top Gun barbecue joint to meet up with Tom Kenny. And he and his entourage sort of folded us into their group, and we walked over to a whiskey bar to use their fancy super carbonated highball machine. All the other guys had whiskey highballs. I stuck to my beer.
Smart.
From there, we went to a speakeasy that had really good live music, and Tom was surprisingly sweet, or maybe not surprisingly, but he was like checking on our friends and like seeing, where they were and if they were okay. And I was like, oh, that was really nice.
Tom and his friends are all surprisingly sweet.
Yeah, they're really nice. And at one point at the speakeasy, I have to go to the bathroom, and I walk in, and Ed is like rapping with this guy, and I hear Ed go, "Her master was a fucking Sith Lord." And Ed is like holding court in the men's room, and everyone loves him. It was just such a weird situation. People kept like walking in and out and getting like roped into the conversation. Very Ed, very funny.
Very Comic-Con.
And as we left, there was this giant security guard who was hugging us all. And I was like, yeah, I'll take a hug. And then he went for a second hug, and I was like, all right, this guy's giving away hugs. I'll take them.
I missed the security guard hug, but I suppose I'm okay with that.
They were good.
I was pretty much asleep on my feet at that point. It was like 3 a.m. I don't think we've ever stayed out that late at Comic-Con, which is not to say I don't like staying out late, but it was another new experience.
Yeah, it was a pretty rowdy night. So rowdy, in fact, that we woke up on a rainy Sunday morning, had ourselves a nice, relaxing breakfast.
Another Comic-Con first. Rain in July in San Diego.
Yeah, it was rainy and cool, and thank goodness, because we
wonderful.
were all feeling the whiskey highballs and the beers and margaritas and tacos. Walked around the con for just like 30, 40 minutes, and then we hit the road. We got to Old Town, and we're not really in fine form to experience all the delights. There was the mule lot.
It became sunny and incredibly hot again as soon as we got there, so it hit us like a ton of sunny bricks.
And we were pretty sapped, so Ryan and I did a brief walkthrough of the Donkey Corral.
That's not a euphemism. Literally, we did that.
We went into La Casa de Estudio, which is a large preserved ranch from Old Town's past that I've never seen before. I mean, the wonders never cease when you go to Old Town early. I made sure we got into the Carriage Museum and got to spend a little more time there. We swung through the rock shop, and then we had a small, decent lunch. We did not drink. There was no picture of margaritas. There was no dancing. There was just the slow shuffle to the car and the drive home. The weekend on balance was excellent.
Absolute blast, and everyone thought I was having a miserable time, but I had a great time. I felt very depressed on Monday when I had to go back to work, although I don't think I could handle a forever Comic-Con.
No. Something we noticed about Comic-Con this year, and we actually had a lot of interactions with other people just who lived and worked in San Diego. They were just, I don't know, extra talkative this year for whatever reason. They were also commenting on the fact that it seemed like not as many people were cosplaying. There was just sort of a overall low level of cosplay compared to other years. There's a question I like to ask every year, which is, Ryan, who won the con?
I think that, as usual, it was definitely Spider-Man. I saw more Spider-Mans, but like exponentially more than anything else.
Nothing really made an impression Friday or Saturday. So on Sunday, I was like, wait a minute, what are people wearing? Like, what am I seeing the most of? I did see, in general, a lot of Spider-Sonas, but it wasn't like everyone was dressed as Spider-Man. There was just enough to be noticeable, and everyone else was wearing costumes from different anime. there was no one standout IP or movie that, seemed to be overrepresented like Wonder Woman or something like that in the last few years. And it's just kind of interesting because you can kind of chart the excitement of the pop culture year by year. There's one year where everything was Game of Thrones.
Right.
And there's one year where Black Panther was huge.
I didn't see a single Heath Ledger Joker this year.
Yeah, I only saw one Batman, which I thought was wild.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see any Klingons, although the other guys did. And I think the Spider-Sonas was good because everyone can sort of mix it up and be their own sort of version of Spider-Man. And then kind of pull out whatever they're going to wear to, their anime convention.
Wait till you see this Eagle Man.
I'll tell you what, though. If I was at Comic-Con and I saw someone cosplaying as Skunk Man, I'd be like...
Rerun for your life.
Good to see the kids expressing themselves.